All right, let's just dive right in. We have all been there, right? You're fired up on January 1st, totally motivated, and then by February, you're right back where you started. So, we're going to break down why our best intentions so often fall flat, and more importantly, uncover the powerful strategy that the most successful people use to actually get things done. First up, let's get a little perspective on this. A pretty big study back in 2020 looked at people's New Year's resolutions, and the results were, well, they were staggering. A full 77% of people had completely abandoned their goals within just the first few weeks. That is more than 3 out of every 4 people. Insane, right? When you see a number that high, it's so easy to just think, well, I guess we're all just lazy or undisciplined. But a failure that widespread really makes you wonder, is the problem with us? Or is there something fundamentally broken about how we set goals in the first place? Okay, let's start by really diagnosing the problem, because it turns out the reasons we fail usually have very little to do with what we blame ourselves for. You know the stories we tell ourselves, right? I'm lazy, I just don't have the time, I lost interest. But the real reasons are a bit more scientific. It comes down to 2 predictable little brain errors that are designed to sabotage our efforts, no matter how motivated we are when we start. So this first brain error is called the hype drop, and it's fascinating. Think about a new song you absolutely love. You play it on repeat, right? But eventually, the magic kind of fades. The exact same thing happens with our goals. When you start a new workout routine, your brain gives you a nice hit of dopamine, that happy chemical, and it feels great. But over time, it gives you less and less of a reward for the same activity. And just like that, the initial excitement is gone. And that leads us right into the second brain error, the instant gratification trap. See, our brains are hardwired to pick a quick, easy reward right now over a much bigger reward later. It's why scrolling through a phone feels so much easier than working on that big project. The pizza gives you pleasure now. The results from the gym? Those could take months. And when you put those 2 things side by side, our ancient brain is going to scream for the pizza every single time. So, if setting goals is kind of flawed from the start because of how our brains work, what's the alternative? Well, the solution is a huge shift in perspective. It's about moving away from goals and towards something way more powerful. I absolutely love this quote. It's so simple and clear. A goal tells you where you want to go, right? It's the destination on a map. But a system, that's the vehicle. That's the engine that's actually going to get you there. One provides direction, the other creates progress. Let me give you an analogy to make this super clear. Imagine you're a castaway, you're on a little boat, and you have a perfect, detailed map that shows you exactly where you need to go to find land. Your goal is crystal clear. But you've got no paddle, no sail, no motor. In that situation, your map, your goal, is completely useless, isn't it? You're just drifting. The system is the motor. The system is what actually pushes you forward day after day, whether you feel motivated or not. Okay, so how do we build that motor? This isn't just a cool idea, there's a practical blueprint we can follow. Let's break down this 3-step process for creating your very own success system. It really comes down to these 3 simple steps. First, you shift your identity. Then you structure your wish. And finally, you engineer your actions. This whole framework is designed to work with your brain's natural wiring, not constantly fight against it. Now, this first step, this is a total game changer. It's about shifting your identity. So instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, you focus on who you want to become. Just look at the difference on the screen. Saying I'm trying to quit smoking still connects you to that past identity. But saying I am not a smoker, wow, that's a statement about your future self. It completely reframes every single decision you make from that point on. And this brings us to the final, and honestly, the most critical part of this whole blueprint, engineering your actions. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about designing the specific, tiny actions that bring that new identity to life. This is how we build the motor for your boat. Okay, so an unbreakable system is built on 4 pillars. First, use triggers. This just means you link your new habit to something you already do. So after I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute. Brushing your teeth is the trigger. Second, start small, and I mean ridiculously small. Make the action so easy it's basically impossible to say no. So don't commit to a 1-hour workout. Just commit to putting on your gym clothes. That's it. That's the win. Third, reward instantly. We have to hack that instant gratification trap. So right after you do your tiny action, give yourself an immediate reward. Listen to your favorite song, have a cup of coffee. You have to teach your brain, hey, that was good, let's do that again. And finally, plan for failure. Because let's be real, life happens. You're gonna have off days. The key is to decide in advance what you'll do. So if you miss a workout, your backup plan might be, I'll just do 10 push-ups before bed. This prevents one slip up from derailing your entire system. See how this all fits together? When you combine that identity shift with these tiny engineered actions, you completely stop relying on willpower, which we know is a resource that runs out. You become the architect of your own progress. This quote from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, just perfectly sums up the whole idea. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Isn't that powerful? So when your identity is, I'm a healthy person, doing 5 minutes of exercise isn't a chore. It's just you casting a vote for who you are. And those little daily votes, they compound into massive transformation. So that leaves us with one last question. Are you going to keep chasing after distant destinations with a map that can't get you anywhere? Or are you ready to start building the vehicle, the system that will carry you there automatically, one tiny engineered action at a time? The choice is yours.